So I thought it'd be interesting to start off just from a Christian theistic perspective. Who exactly is Satan? When we're using that term, what are we referring to?
Yeah, so who is Satan? So I'm going to blow your mind theologically here
Love
for a minute,
it. Let's
Josh.
do it.
Here we go. Ready? Satan sucks, man. Like, sucks. How's that for theology?
That's great.
So, start off with a joke, right? So, I think that there's a lot of confusion about Satan.
Yeah.
Satan has been tied traditionally to another name, Lucifer,
Yeah.
and who that was is he was a very, very powerful angel created by God. And, there's a few theologies about this, about how this powerful angel got separated from God in the way that he did. One theory is that Satan heard about God's plan for humanity in that God wanted to have humans share in his divinity, and Satan became jealous, rebelled against God, was cast down into hell.
Got it.
Another one that a lot of people might say is that it was pride, which caused Satan to reject God because he wanted to be God himself, and to be thrown. And then because of that, he was thrown down from heaven with his demons. I think the idea there is that he wanted to be like God. The bottom line, though, is that he was a really powerful angel and he rejected God. And, Satan's kingdom, the problem with it is that it's a lie. He wants to be like God, but he is no God. Only God is God.
Yeah.
Satan is a created being by God, which by definition means that God has dominion over it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've heard that too. He's a fallen angel, this jealousy thing. Right, which is interesting to me. This is kind of a little bit of a curveball when we talk about Satan as an angel who had this kind of jealousy thing, because we often hear about the angels as being in kind of a perpetual, like, glorify and honor state with God, right? And we have this angel who seemed to have kind of his own will and device against this. I'm not totally sidebar question. I just popped into my head. What do you make of that?
Well, I think I know, that's one of those mysteries that you can't really wrap your head around. But I think that argument right there gives a lot of validity to the theory that Satan heard what God's plan for humanity was, and he became enraged with jealousy. Because, angels are not divine. Yeah. And God creating this being that walks around on the earth, and God says, I want you to be divinized. Yeah. That, in my fallen human nature, I can understand where you could have a case and say, wait a minute, I'm up in heaven. You want them to be divinized and to share with your divinity? Why can't I share with your divinity? Yeah. So I think that concept, what you're asking about, it actually lends very well to that theory that I mentioned prior. I don't know how it would work that a being in heaven could have a negative thought. I don't understand how that would work either, and I don't really know how I can comment further on that, unfortunately.
Yeah, good conversation, topic for another conversation that we'll have to dive into at some point. But
I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah, think about that one. I'm going to put it on your radar.
Sure.
But from your perspective, though, how do we understand what and who Satan is?
Yeah, I think the best place to look at and understand what Satan is to go straight to the Bible. That's where we have the best understanding of him. So I use this word Lucifer, which means morning star or light bearer. Interestingly though, the Lucifer name isn't really correct. He was never exactly called Lucifer. I think it's just kind of like this way that language develops, and then this name kind of sprung out. What happens is that name Lucifer is actually connected to a verse in Isaiah, and what the verse says in Isaiah, how you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. That O day star in the Latin or the Greek, I can't remember which one right now, but that sounds like the word Lucifer. Oh, sorry, it's in Latin. O day star translates to Lucifer. Okay. And I look at that Lucifer title, and it's ironic to me because, Lucifer means light bearer, and he is the Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
And so there's an irony to that, which I think is kind of interesting. The other couple ways to look at this being is, he has this name called Satan. Well, Satan is a Hebrew word which means the accuser or the adversary. And then you also have this word that describes this being called the devil. And the devil is Greek, which translates loosely to the divider.
The divider.
So, I would look at these things and I would say, well, Satan is the original terrorist. And, I love talking about this guy. One of my favorite authors is C.S. Lewis. I grew up on the Narnia books. I wrote him, even though I didn't know he was dead. When I was in elementary school, I wrote C.S. Lewis. So I just love this guy.
Yeah.
One of his scribes was gracious enough to write me back. But anyway, C.S. Lewis, he wrote a book called The Screwtape Letters.
Yeah.
And in the Screwtape Letters, it's it's a story about a junior demon receiving direction from a senior demon. And here's a quote from the Screwtape Letters: "Is the loveliest trick of the devil is to persuade you that he does not exist." And I think that just sums it up so well. A lot of people try to quote that, and they actually get it wrong. They're actually inadvertently quoting The Usual Suspects with verbal Kent. Referencing Kaiser Soze, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. That's actually not C.S. Lewis.
Got it.
That's The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's what I would say about how do we understand what Satan is. I'd say not only has the devil convinced the world that he doesn't exist, but that God stinks as a father. Like he has convinced us that God stinks as a father, that his son is irrelevant, and that Christianity is boring.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for checking out this clip from the Practical Theism podcast. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to check out the full episode, you can do so by finding it on our YouTube channel. Definitely consider subscribing and ringing that little bell so you can continue to get updates, notifications when we release new episodes and new clips just like this one. I hope to see you soon.